easy. So it's a quick video to let people know that I broke my hip, my pelvis to be exact. I was riding down a big hill, kind of work, and there's a fence at the bottom of the bridge going over towards Sainsbury's, and usually I'll just dodge it, but this time I clipped it and slammed to the floor. It was like a shotgun of concrete to the pelvis, and yeah, it's pretty shit. Like, rugby boss, he took me straight to QA. There was blood everywhere. I lost a fair amount from various regions of me body, and it was quite a transcending experience. So I'd definitely say that my meditation has really helped with pain. There was barely any, obviously adrenaline, but even now, almost a week later, I'm really finding it quite easy to divert away from the pain and look at it instead of becoming it. I got to the hospital. They were really lovely, really helpful, all masked up and a lot of box ticking, and there wasn't many people in there. And I went to the major ward. They instantly tried to get me on painkillers, which I wasn't keen on because I wanted to suss out the exact feeling. Half an hour later, I was keen. I was very keen. I had a gram of paracetamol, and this was good in a sense where it brought me into a relaxating state, so I could just be at peace in the hospital, and it's good for them too because I'm not there constantly like ahhing and oohing. It made them feel more comfortable, so I understand it. But now I'm off of them, I feel a lot better. I was on codeine for 3 days and started getting very constipated. I had to watch what I was eating, like very fibrous diet to combat the constipation. But you want to eat a lot of protein when you're injured like this, so it's a double-edged sword. Taking high pharmaceutical drugs, they can make you constipated, but that means you don't want to take the protein to heal you. So come off the pharmaceuticals, and I'm just sticking to meditation and a little bit of cannabis every other day, for a pipe, substrate weed. That's been pretty good, like a nice body buzz. There are some counteractions to that, because then you get a bit high and your attention opens up and you're aware of your incapability of movement. Like, I'm very used to adventuring, using this world as a playground, and even going to work was seen as a playful experience, and now I'm locked into a room, so I'm definitely isolating, which I wasn't really doing. I was able to work and go to the woods, get out there into nature, where I can't do that anymore. So, not to make this a dreary video, but I'm thinking about trying to help people out in ways of healing, more than physically, like mentally as well, because there's a lot going on, right? So the slam at the beginning, that I can still hear the fence ringing in my head, and I've been doing a lot of shadow work, and usually you don't even want to watch a video of someone slamming after you've injured yourself. It makes you feel a bit queasy. You've got an injured ankle and you see someone tweak their ankle, it's terrible. But shadow work is where, when you feel like shit about something, you really analyse why you feel like shit about that certain something, and you can make peace with it, so you don't feel shit, right? It's very simple. You're just looking at your darker parts of yourself and working out what it makes you feel like. So for me to think about me falling off of my bike and hitting the floor, it makes me tense up, right? The more I do that, the less it makes me tense up, and I make peace with it, and I release emotional trauma from my body, which has been stored. But anyway, when I hit the floor, I had a big release of emotional trauma. It was in my pelvic region, like my solar plexus, those glands that release hormones, and they're also like energy gates in our bodies. Like, we are not just bone and flesh, we are something that you can't use tools to identify. Like, you've got the quantities of a person, and then you have the qualities of a person, and some of these qualities that don't really get looked at in science are only felt by the person, and I believe that that does get pulled through to other people, and they can feel your pain or they can feel your happiness, and these things, it's just not really that provable, but we know it's there. We understand it without a written formation of how it happens, right? So quantum physics, there are connections deep within us. Like, we spend a lot of our days using the left hand brain, which is working things out, logistics. So I think it's the masculine side of the brain. The right hand side is the oneness and the creative side, which is the more feminine side of the brain. You think of Mother Nature being the woman who just creates, and with this loving kind of aura and energy, like the world, the Taurus, the magnetic charge that it has, electricity, giving life. This is the right hand side of the brain, and when you dip into meditation, you release all anxiety. It's not like you're gaining anything, but you're lowering all of those expectations of the world, and you're just becoming. So the more meditation I've been doing, the easier life has become, in a sense. So I'm going to be doing a few more videos on meditation in the coming weeks, and like the road to recovery. Like at the moment, my hip is massive, and it's hard to have a shit. It's hard to get out of bed. I'm on crutches. I had my kids around here yesterday. They helped me out so much. Like, so grateful for those two boys, and to see them turn out the way they are. But like 11 and 8, and they're just bubbly little balls of energy. So they go back to school today. Hopefully they're having a good time, and all the other children going back to school, and it's not too anxiety provoking. We watched the Secrets of Water, which is basically about how the water system is manipulated in such a way where it becomes fake. Like, water holds memory, and when water gets poured out of a cloud onto the mountain and it travels down in such a fluid way, it picks up all the minerals and it stores memory. It then sits in the lakes and the swamps or whatever, and it builds up different forms of memory. Or it may go into pipe works and we filter it out with chemicals and goes through our taps and we drink that, but the water's always had that memory. And then it's only when it evaporates that it melts off of ice that it loses its memory. So it's like it builds up a pattern. When you play music to a water molecule, it will build a crystalline pattern, almost similar to like geometric structure. It's geometry. It's geometry. Like, there's no snowflake that is the same. Out of the trillions of snowflakes on the earth, there's not one that is the same. And they've all had their different patterns of memory. So we learned about this, and Artie was a bit quiet previously coming, but after watching this documentary, he sprung out in tune, and it was happy, 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 happy all day, happy, 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 happy all day. And this came from the act of our thoughts and our words have a vibration to them. In geometry, like when you have the sand on top of the dish, you play a certain tune, it forms a pattern, and then a different tune, and it will form a different pattern. So it's a 3D, outwardly expressed vibration. And when you use positive thoughts and words, it can change the shape and the structure of the water on a molecular level. So the two hydrogen atoms and the oxygen, and the things that hold them will actually grow and finally tune into a beautiful pattern. Whereas if you use nasty words and nasty thoughts, bad thoughts to yourself, like, it's going to have an impact, because we're 75% water. We're not just this mass. So we too have this vibrational energy inside of us, and he left feeling pretty overwhelmed and excited, so I'm sure he's gone to school today with a new sort of look on the world. I think that's it. I think that's all I'm going to bang on about in this sitting. But I'm definitely not bored. I'm definitely not bored. Maybe a little bit agitated at times, but there's so much to tune into, Cool. So take it easy, guys. Adios.